Hello and welcome to Simply inTAXicating. The GST Council at its last meeting took a slew of measures, quite a few decisions to grant relief to the small taxpayers. Some of the relief partly will go to the large taxpayers as well. But more than that, the focus was the composition scheme, the small taxpayers, and also the relief in terms of filing of the returns. Now the issue is, what should be the roadmap for the government till 31st March 2018? Some of the structural changes perhaps required, and the government should take a look. The business process, the GST Council should perhaps review it, because the GSTR 2, the 30th is going to be, 31st October is going to be the deadline for GSTR 2. What happens if the matching architecture which has been built initially by the GST law and the GST network is working on that, if it fails, what will happen? Should the government go ahead with GSTR 3B? So we have three distinguished panelists with us. We have Mr. Bimal Jain, a noted GST expert, and also from the PhD Indirect Tax Committee. We have Mr. S.K. Goyal, the former chairman, CBEC. We have Mr. Asidar, Senior Vice President, Hindustan Coca-Cola, three domain experts. So let me start with Mr. Bimal Jain. You please tell us, what are the issues now left? You know, the government has on its part tried its best to grant some relief to the small taxpayers, but you find that some more issues are there?
I must compliment the GST Council, which they took decision on 6th of October 2017 we are referring to. But among the decision taken, there are still left out and open queries, like first one, reverse charge method. You know, section 9 subsection 4, wherein any registered recipient purchase taxable goods or services from unregistered supplier, they have granted exemption, intrastate and interstate. But irony is that this notification is effective only from 13th of October 2017 till 31st March 2018. Question is, within the month of October now, you have to parallelly follow two provisions. For 1st October to 12th of October, you will pay under reverse charge method if your purchase is more than 5,000 rupees. Right. And from 13 October onwards, it is exempted. So two provisions. Now, but the moot question for all of us is that, do we require such kind of reverse charge 9.4? I would like to highlight for the viewers that this 9.4 provision was not there in first model GST law, which came on 14 June 2016. It was not there in revised model GST law, which came on 26th of November 2016. All of a sudden, this was made the part of final law with no concurrence from trade, industry and commerce. This provision is being made. I'm asking, operationally and legally both, it is inconvenient. I can explain by way of an example. Let's say I'm a registered recipient purchasing Bisleri bottle MRP based product. So what happens if I'm purchasing from unregistered supplier Bisleri bottle MRP based product? Again, I have to pay reverse charge method liability, irrespective of fact whether credit available or not. So what happens in MRP based pricing? I purchased 10 rupees MRP based bottle. Again, I'm paying under reverse charge method, so operationally inconvenient and amount to double taxation. The unregistered supplier who has purchased, he must have paid the taxes of which he has not availed the credit. Now, again, it is chargeable to reverse charge method. So, double taxation. And legally, let's understand what is the legally, effect of it. Let's say I'm registered in Delhi. I'm a recipient and I go to Gurgaon. Normally in NCR region, we go to Noida, we go to Gurgaon, to any hotel or restaurant. So if I'm purchasing taxable services from restaurant or hotel in Gurgaon, then what happened? That Gurgaon hotel who is unregistered, as per the GST provision, it is intrastate supply, CGST and Haryana SGST applicable. But question will come, how this recipient going to pay CGST and Haryana SGST liability if it's not registered in Haryana? My suggestion and my request to the Government of India would be that they should done away 9.4 provision. Lest we all should come on board, we understand and experience this part of it. That is the first. Second, the composition dealer which you took.
So we will touch that. This very important point you have touched.
If you allow me one more point. One more point. So this is 9.4 provision I'm referring to. But in 9.4 you will find GST Council deciding in consensus, but MP being one of the state BJP ruling party state, they have issued the notification on 14th of October 2017. Then the question comes, my CGST, IGST and UTGST provision applicable from 13th of October and state applicable on 14th of October. Question comes to each one's mind, GST Council is not deciding whether it is effective from 1st October and why two different dates are being picked up for the notification, which will create a chaos.
So we will touch, this raises a very vital legal issue, because this will trigger a lot of litigation, because for each SGST, it is the jurisdiction of the respective High Court. So good number of people will go to Jharkhand High Court or Madhya Pradesh High Court or Odisha High Court, that kind of issues will come up. And then, so we will touch that aspect, we will touch that, because I have also come across several notifications which were issued by the states after much delay. The CGST notifications dated, let's say the first, the SGST notification dated 6th. What happens to those 5 days? Whether the SGST is not to be paid? That's the question for any taxpayer. We will touch that RCM point, the 9.4. I mean, do you agree with him, the RCM
basically,
9.4?
I think...
is it creating a lot of problem?
It is creating a lot of problem, because the issue of an invoice, it's not the payment of the tax, it is the compliance that is the add-on. When you issue an invoice, that invoice has to form a part of a specific return. So to that extent, there is the add-on compliance. And also for people who don't have registrations or do not have any business in that state, as he mentioned correctly in his example. That is the second point. The third large point that you can really think of is, if you really look at this unregistered, since it was not there in the earlier model drafts, it is there in the final law, what would be the driving point? Must be the old purchase tax that they are having in mind, the revenue that is lost. They have to find certain other measures to collect 9.4 tax rather than bring this up. That way, if you really look at it, somebody then can also say that prior to 1st of July, even in Maharashtra, the Mumbai Municipal Corporation was having octroi, but certain other corporations of the Maharashtra were having LBT only if you had greater than 50 crores turnover.
Correct.
So if there is a dichotomy of use between them, will there be another levy for that? So that is not the answer. The answer is, we must find a broader levy and a percentage that will take care of the shortage. 9.4 is definitely an inconvenience. If you come to 9.3, I mean, I would say that then if you can, anybody from the press can also ask this question, what's so different from 9.3 and 9.4? 9.3 we have been used to, sir, from Lal Udyog Bharti days, we have been used to 9.3. It's not that this is the first time it's staring at our face.
Right.
Now, but the point is, how long we will continue? How long will we continue? And for example, even in 9.4, I'm thinking of certain points which he did not touch upon. I want to touch upon goods. Now, under 9.3 goods, for example, I think under 9.3 there is a reverse charge mechanism for raw tobacco procured. Now, what happens if that raw tobacco procured, what is the basis? Is the basis so efficient right now in terms of the collection and the effort that went into for this 9.3, for all these goods? I remember only raw tobacco, but I don't remember the other. There are more than 3-4 goods in that. But the point is, therefore, it's not only the convenience of the trade, it is the extra collection that you are getting. If this is not supporting the mechanism of the exchequer's needs, then what is the larger purpose?
So you are not doubting the intent of the
No, nobody is doubting.
But only the mechanism.
Mechanism and the inconvenience caused by the administration of that mechanism. For everything you have to raise an invoice and then pay. For example, were we not paying through a TR6 challan, sir, prior to 30th of June, was I being hindered for any credits? CBSE was giving me with such a seamless basis, if that's the right English word you can use. I was getting my RCM credits for road transport freight. My only belief was my TR6 challan and the documentary proof I had. There was no invoice. CBSE was giving me credits prior to that.
Even raising of invoice is not operationally convenient.
Yeah.
What provision says we can raise consolidated self-invoice at the month end. But try to understand, during the month I purchased a lot of goods and services. I have to first pick up the HSN code, SSC code. Am I supposed to really pick up all these things to raise the invoice to myself? These are operationally inconvenient.
Probably this can be. Maybe, sir, you could suggest something, I mean, they are in principle, they are saying that there is nothing wrong about it. But what is wrong is the architecture, the method, or maybe the process which they have developed. That is creating inconvenience for the taxpayers to comply with. Because in any case, the credit can be taken immediately. As a taxpayer, I am first of all paying taxes for RCM invoices, and then when I am going to pay my taxes for normal invoices, I will avail the credit. So credit is not an issue, sir, here, because in the same month the invoices can be raised and the ITC can be availed. But the inconvenience part, the cost, and also we are trying to look at that how desirable it is. Is it going to really help the exchequer in that way?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that is the perspective, sir.
What I feel is that the issues which have been raised by Bimal, Jain, by Sridhar and by yourself, they are very, very relevant issues.
Sir.
But to me it appears, I have not involved in those discussions in GST council and the officers, that the intention is that how to bring on record these transactions where the suppliers are not liable to pay tax for one reason or the other.
Right, sir.
Either they are unregistered or they are handling products like tobacco, for example,
right.
Where they don't want to, there is no tax and which were liable to purchase tax. So these transactions, government's intention appears to be to bring on record, accountal, and whatever tax you paid, in any case you take credit.
Right.
So the idea is not to generate revenue, but to bring on record all these transactions. As far as small proceeds are concerned, up to 5,000 rupees a day, if you are doing, then it is exempt. So it is only when large transactions are involving more than 4,000 rupees a day, and then over a month you raise an invoice, and then you can. So it's basically meant for the registered dealers, and so the intention is very clear. And
to generate a lot of statistics.
All of us are aware, all of us agree that
you can track mechanisms.
Yes, it's a tracking mechanism.
Statistics, policy statistics, to track mechanisms, and to overcome, there could be large scale misuse in certain situations. So, but the issues which have been raised are very genuine, and so maybe this can be deliberated
I think
upon.
so this larger vision is to pass on the lead to the sister board, the revenue board, the CBDT side. You know, so that a lot of transactions could be captured, and there, if good number of people are not filing their income tax return, perhaps this data can help the income tax people to do 360-degree analysis and catch hold of those guys by collar that you have not filed your return, where the focus is today.
Not even the policy issues. No, for example, how much tobacco is being sold, how much tobacco is being purchased, how much transactions are taking place between unregistered and registered persons. So some kind of macro data from policy level. I think that also.
But there is nothing wrong with 9.4. What is wrong is the timing. Probably it is ill-timed.
I think
this
that
could
is
have
why
been done later.
Once
Maybe in
the
some
system matures.
matures,
Yes,
absolutely.
matures.
Once GST could have
I
stabilized.
think that is why they have extended its operationalization
Yes, sir.
till 31st March,
March.
1st April. So
Correct.
probably during this period, 6 months time, government will get a lot of representations, and they'll be able to understand, maybe fine tune it further,
Yes.
as we are
Maybe,
all
sir. Yes.
suggesting. So let us wait till 1st April and
Absolutely.
see what happens.
Yes. So, Bimalji, apart from 9.4, any other observation you would like to make on this?
Next.
No, the other point, yes, you raised and I forgot to discuss this. Another point is the date. What will be the consequences for this?
Beyond
the dates
this,
of notification.
I would request all of us, to think about this proposition, that if there is a resolution passed in the GST Council meeting, would it not be a fair expectation from the entire country that by the evening, when there is the traditional press conferences, I have seen them for so many number of meetings which are there, that these are the things, and all finance ministers of the various states who are represented by their officials endorse that yes, it is on the same date, so that that point is taken care of. And larger issue is that I have not been able to see in the law a connecting provision that says that if this is the date on which the notification comes from the union, this is the date on which it will come from the states. Or what is the methodology, how they have built it inside in the rules inside the functioning of the GST Council. If that is understood by the public at large, then this situation will not arise at all. And if it is in unison, then why should there be a difference? And the next question that really makes us wonder is, if the intention is that there should be no inconvenience cost, why should there be inconvenience cost up to 12th of October?
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean,
now, while filing the return, you have to take care of that up to 12th.
We have to take care of two periods.
First
Absolutely. To 12th of
yes.
October, reverse charge, and after 13th October, no reverse charge.
No
so
reverse
same
charge.
period, you have two implications, and return filing and compliance.
Yes, absolutely.
And the moot question which is being asked by him, and we are also raising, when GST Council in principle decided, it should have been made from 1st October. Simple, so
If
simple.
the intention is to avoid income
Why
tax.
to create so much of confusion? Then we are discussing panel discussion and putting forth our submission. They should have done it from 1st October.
So what has been your experience? That is, something like this used to happen in service tax also. A lot of dispute with respect to the effective date. A lot of, so I mean, when the service being provided later, invoice being raised earlier, all those disputes used to happen in service tax quite often.
No, here now situation is different because we have a GST council,
Right.
and all the decisions are being taken by consensus. And so once a consensus decision has been taken, that this provision is being postponed, and so it should be postponed from the day from which it was due till the next date, which means from 1st October.
Right.
So notification can be so worded,
Right.
even if notification is issued on 14th,
Yes.
that from 1st October.
Yes. With
So
retrospect,
that should be
yes.
done.
Yeah.
That should be done.
Correct, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. But now, sir, the consequence, what will happen? I mean, apart from this, with respect to tariff, the GST rates, the states are issuing notification after few days when the CGST notifications are already notified and in place. So what will be the consequence? Because in any case, state authorities are not going to leave that revenue out.
Yes, yes.
They are going to collect it.
Yeah.
But legally, they are not authorized to collect it if there is a gap of 3-4 days. And tomorrow a taxpayer decides to go to High Court and all that. So what mechanism? I mean, to avoid, one of the stated objectives of GST has been right from beginning to reduce litigation, make it simple. And here, I find that because of this kind of practices, because the states, unlike center, they are not very used to seeing notifications frequently. And they don't have, I believe, I spoke to a couple of VAT commissioners, they do not have a very formal mechanism and machinery to take care of this.
Rightly said, yes.
So that is another issue. And maybe, sir, why not, there can be a solution like this, that GST Council can take a call, taking all the finance ministers into confidence, that as soon as the CGST notifications are issued, perhaps all the state governments should issue a notification deeming it
Absolutely.
that their notification
Yes.
will be valid from the same date.
Yes, yes.
And the content will remain the same. In any case, the content is not supposed to be different. So maybe, the deeming notification can serve the purpose.
That would be the better way. That's what we
A
all are
shortcut,
suggesting.
for the taxpayer also it's very clear.
I think you suggested the right thing.
Sir.
Once a decision is taken, for example, even GST Council meeting in this case was from 6th October.
Right, sir.
But the decision was valid from 1st October.
1st October.
So
Right,
the decision was taken afterwards, valid from a prior date. So that should be part of the notification that
Yes.
it has been decided like this.
Right,
So
sir.
from 1st October will be valid. Similarly for states, supposing there is a delay of one day, 13th October, 14th October. Notification.
And maybe all these aspects, not
They
GST.
have larger social aspects also. So if you really look at the other products, I think cashew nuts are there in
Yes.
9.3.
9.3.
There is also, I think, lottery tickets.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the larger social aspect of this 9.3, now under which conditions and how much of revenue it is going to come, all these questions can get wholesomely answered. That is one way
Right.
of looking at it. The next aspect which I would think is that when you talked about other problems, which Bimal, maybe he didn't, because of time, he didn't touch upon it, is there is something that the council has done for all the small payers, you have very clearly laid out. But what about hand-holding for them? Now, okay, their limits have been revised for composition dealers, fine. Now, let us say there is a guy, a small trader, who's doing cement and structural steel. Looking at the price of cement and structural steel, 1.5 crores is nothing these days.
Correct.
So what about a small trader in an ex-B grade city between 1.5 crores and 5 crores? What are the methods of hand-holding for him? Hand-holding means hand-holding from the government side.
Right.
We are not talking, I think we have discussed this in the same forum in various meetings of ours
Yes.
prior to the run to the
Correct.
GST, that hand-holding would mean two sides. What various autonomous institutes like the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India can do, Cost and Works Accountants of India can do, so many other company secretaries can do. But what the government side is going to do for them, because you can't expect always the chartered accountant of that small trader to handle all the solution, because he was in a paper regime. He was always under the impression of a paper regime.
Right.
Now this electronic regime is too big a situation for him. If you really talk about somebody under 5-10 crores,
Right.
you can say, okay, if a person has a turnover more than 10 crores, then we don't assume him to be big. That may be a valid suggestion. But up to 5 crores, in my opinion, is definitely small.
No, for composition dealer, whatever you're suggesting, my suggestion is they have increased the limit from 75 lakh to 1 crore rupees. But look at the objectivity of composition dealer. You wanted to draw that SME and MSME should be benefited. But why this composition dealer is not being a favorable response from the trade industry and commerce? Reason 1. You're not allowing interstate output supply. First point. Why it is not available? First point. Second point
Services.
Services. It's not available for service sector. Third point, it is coming out, these composition dealer purchasing ITC credit is not available, and then on output they have to pay 1% by trader, 2% by manufacturer, 5% by restaurant. So question comes, to that extent the credit should be made available. And for most point you go to a market was like, they used to purchase, they were not availing the credit and selling in cash without raising the invoice. We wanted to draw such traders should come forward. For such trader, what is important today that we have to really invite them, give them a benefit. If you put any kind of scheme with certain restriction and bar, it is not going to give the advantage to all of us together. A group of ministers is already being set, they are looking into the subject matter. I think a suggestion from my side that composition dealers should be allowed for interstate output supply and to a service sector in case they want favorable response for composition dealer. That's I'm adding further.
And then also, even if you look at the services dimension about not coming inside, and therefore he would lose his composition status. Let us talk about the average classical Indian model. Let us take detergents. We believe our villages also, the mothers in the villages should wash their clothes with detergent so that it's sparkling white. Right. Now, how do you sell detergents in villages? From a B or C grade city, there is a distant kind of a small sub-distributor who takes his van, which is a 3-wheeler van, not a big van, goes to the 100 villages, he'll be given a long route subsidy and he'll be covering them. Right. Now, that long route subsidy is a service. Now, he then would lose his composition status. Now, he'll turn around and tell the detergent company, anybody, it can be XYZ brand, that I won't be able to do the service for you because I lose my composition status. Is the larger intention of facilitating the person to remain under 100 lakhs, is that important? Or he should not do that 5 lakhs of service? Because under the previous service tax limit, his limit was 10 lakhs. Sir. So now everybody, see, the average argument of a small trader was, he is also well informed. He is saying, prior to 1st July, I was having a separate limit, sir. Am I not entitled to that limit? The answer was, yes, you are entitled to a limit. So I was doing it. I was managing my affairs inside that limit. Now you are saying that also I am not supposed to be entitled to. Now you look at the larger social objective and match it with the economic objectives that we wanted to achieve.
So how do you look at it, sir?
You see, they have already done for small scale exemption up to 20 lakhs. They have they said that if they are providing interstate services,
yes,
and then they are entitled to like job work, interstate job work. Yes. So on the same lines, if they want to consider for composition, because valid points have been raised by both of them, that's a point which the group of ministers which is going to be constituted can look into it, and
allow this interstate sales.
This should be allowed, and that to that extent,
the ITC probably, sir, will not be allowed perhaps because they are just looking at that. They are basically generating records and they are capturing data. From the composition dealers. Idea is what kind of purchases you are making, the records are being created, and since you are paying just 1% as a trader or 2% as a manufacturer, so probably credit is not there in their mind. They are just looking at the records and you are just paying the price. Maybe they want composition registrants to feel encouraged
absolutely
to move from composition
to the value chain.
Yeah, this encouragement will come only when two important, service sector and interstate outward supply. ITC, I agree with you, but at least it should be open to service sector and interstate outward supply should be allowed. Now, when the point was raised, just one important point, GST Council also decided for SME and MSME sector. What they decided, if any SSE having turnover less than 1.5 crore, quarterly return and quarterly payment of taxes. Right. Look at as on date, no notification has come. No clarity by when it is going to be applicable. So what is the impression coming out in the market? Today, I'm getting a lot of queries from the taxpayer, 3B can't be revised, can't be amended. GSTR 1, 2, 3, and then the late fees concept for the applicable from August. I'm saying that till March 2018, what government should do? Government should provide a level playing field to all of us together. We all are experiencing new biggest indirect tax reform. It is for the taxpayer and tax department both together. So what they have to do, they have to first make it sure that everyone is coming on board. Help desk is not responsive. And we have to really find out some accountability, how many calls they are getting in a day and how they are responding it back. There should be a response on GST and network, how many emails they are receiving and they are responding back to the taxpayers. Such kind of things will help. And when we are talking about date of notification, 13th October, 14th October, and then 6th of October, we are saying small taxpayer will have quarterly return, quarterly tax payment. As on date, no notification is out. They are thinking, is it going to be or something else in their mind?
Yes.
So we have to really...
Maybe the GST Council, apart from taking substantive decisions, they should also take a call, or they should come out with key recommendation that we are recommending it to the central government and the state, that they should set up more help days, so the district level, help days perhaps, so that people don't have to go to the state capital only for the help, or maybe the online side they could perhaps authorize good number of people that you also help out, because in any case it's a collective responsibility for all the stakeholders.
I will go with you that there should be notification wings should be set up. And this notification wing meet for both central and state altogether. So that on date they are issuing a notification effective for all the members of GST Council. So this dispute will go away.
Correct.
And clarity will come in a trade, industry and commerce. We in GST objective is good and simple. Certainty, clarity. It will come when we will start acting on it. And we create consensus what we are creating in GST Council by way of issuance of notification and circular, not by Twitter and FAQ, which has got no legal sensitivity.
And the larger issue of this 3B, let's talk about micros, 3B verification. Okay. Now let us assume that you did an offline utility. Okay. Now you punch some numbers, you got your tax calculations back end based on Excel, you paid the taxes, now you are ready to upload. Let us assume that you have made a mistake in the data field and you have put some extra numbers. Are you aware about the consequences today? Now this is what maybe in this kind of a program you should. That month it will get rejected. This is not matching.
Correct.
Then if you feel, no, this is my actual return, I can find out, then what is the next way out? You'll have to file a manual return in that concerned state where you are registered along with the central return. Now, are you aware that the next month, if you made a mistake in August, your September return of 3B will not go. You will have to file even 3B for September manually. Now, but the point is, we've raised this. There was a coordination conference conducted in Bangalore. There were so many traders who came to us for help. We raised this point on behalf of the traders. Few traders would come, and we raised this in front of the Infosys and that meeting. They said, no, we are coming up with this ability to make corrections in 3B, which is not yet done.
Not yet done.
Now, my point is, see, when we talk about what is burning till 31st March, if you want to really going to make that as the central point of this discussion of this 40-45 minutes, these are the burning points up to 31st of March.
Correct.
Let us not focus on something beyond this at this stage, because let us make somebody life simple. I am able to make if I made a honest mistake, revision of something should not be held against me.
Even revision announced, Tran 1 can be revised in 21st GST Council meeting on 9th of September. It is not enabled on GST and network.
It is not.
Tran 2, which is for deemed credit, it is not enabled on GST and network. So I'm only saying that whatever being decided by GST Council, it should be implemented on timely basis, so that the objective of GST Council is being met and being given to the trade, industry and commerce. Then the objective would be fulfilled. Otherwise, we are not finding what they are announcing and what they are offering.
So the actual relief is not filtering down to the taxpayers.
No, the intentions have been announced. The policy has been announced. The implementation of policy, for whatever reason,
execution is an issue.
Execution, there is a delay in execution. For whatever reason, there is communication, working out the GST and the consequent changes. And the consequent changes, what are the implications for other sectors? How it is to be networked.
And then if you divide,
that is bound to be. That's bound to be there. But as you said, there is a need to make it more streamlined.
Now, if you need to divide the problems, as Sir is saying, if you need to divide the problems also, then at this stage, when we talk about dividing the problem short and long, then why are they taking up that long-term objective of matching even now? Why they are not focusing? Okay,
correct.
Can we not maybe in the next meeting, November?
Yes.
I think somewhere in the first week of November it is. Yeah. So now, can they not focus and come out? Okay, now let's stabilize the entire system. Let us give a window period up to March of 2018.
Yes, correct.
We will ensure that 1, 2 and 3 stabilizes. 3B will be phased out. By March we will stabilize, and the matching as a principle will start after 1st of April. Now in between, if you start, you had in your opening remarks said that what happens if there is a problem in the matching.
Right.
Now, you won't believe me, there are so many people who are really spending sleepless nights of the things that they have for July to December when the December matching happens.
Right, correct.
Now, they are really petrified if the matching doesn't take place, because the audit will pick up the entire thing. Absolutely. Now, the larger issue is that if there is a stability period now in question, even for GSTR 1 and 2, for example, this 31st October,
right,
then unless we are clear about the window of stability, that okay, it is stable by 31st of March.
Right.
Nobody is stopping the nation from going to a 1/4/2018 online verification and matching of credits. And the industry is very well said. Everybody wants his credit. I want my credit only if I have paid for it, sir. I am not intending to take credit which does not belong to me and which I do not deserve as per law. I am not interested as a businessman.
No. Taxpayers deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, let's talk about this subsidy scheme in place of this excise exemption, which has been withdrawn now under the GST regime. So, what are the issues you look at?
See,
the taxpayers are happy, whatever the government is offering the kind of subsidy.
They are not happy. For the first reason, this notification by DIP. You have to have corresponding notification from CGST and SGST both. They are talking about 58%. What about balance 42%? Who will pay? State are not agreeing to that. And this refund will come, they have said, by filing the return, whatever paid on value addition from PLA in cash, that will be coming. So DIPP issuing a notification after 2.5 months. Again, we are waiting for the CGST notification. State is silent. Can we say from trade side, we are happy about it? We are happy about it when timely execution takes place, which is missing in the GST. We all are talking about like GSTR 2 and ISD. I can create a live case example for you. ISD return is now 15th of November, but GSTR 2 going to be filed by 31st of October. So ISD distributing credit to any recipient unit will come in GSTR 2.
Right.
So what is the sensitivity of this date? This is 31st October, but ISD return is by 15th of November. These are all creating confusion. We have to really done away with. We have to make up our mind very clear to make it good and simple, which is the objective of Honorable Prime Minister. And we all are advocating. We are with the nation. We want to have biggest indirect tax reform in a right perspective. Whatever decided by GST Council, the laudable one. 22nd GST Council, they have done brilliant. They have taken very good decision. Right. And yesterday also, Revenue Secretary has said they are ready to look at rate structure also.
Absolutely.
Rate structure also. So they are positive about it, provided timely execution, timely trade, industry and commerce, hand-holding is being provided. Such small taxpayer ready and willing to, provided the fear in their mind can be done away with.
Mr. Siddhar, you have some point on this?
See, I personally feel, suppose if you are in Uttarakhand or you are in Himachal, previously you were paying exemption, then you didn't pay duty prior to 1st of July. Now you are my competitor, Mr. Shailendra. You are based in Northeast. You chose to pay duty there and take refund right. under 20/2007.
Right.
So Shailendra and RC there are distinguished because prior to 1st of July I was not paying. Now I will pay and I will get 58. Is it not a loss to me? Now, is this not something that should be thought of? And then balance 42 out of the state's share. However it is, how is it going to come?
The states are supposed to come up with their own budgetary support mechanism.
Right.
I have a feeling that probably the decision will be taken in due course. It might have been already taken to be announced and all that. The central government cannot give refund for a tax which they are paying to states.
Right.
So they are paying tax to states and also giving refund. So they have decided, they have declared that as far as central government's share of the tax is concerned, which is 58% in case of CGST and 29% in case of IGST, they will give a refund on a quarterly basis. Application has been filed, procedure has been laid down. But the point which Sridhar has raised, that in case of certain states where they were not paying tax at all, now they are required to pay and then take refunds. There is an issue which I think the GST Council can look at it.
They should take a look at
look
it.
in due course, so that they are put on par with the
And
situation.
one more thing, if I have satisfied everything and I am already functioning in my 5th year, it should be seamless. Why should there be another round of inspection as per DIPP, another thing? When I was admitted inside under 49 or 50 bar 2004 or under 20 bar 2007, there was a list of verification, checks and balances were there. My application was accepted. I am in my 5th year, sir. I have 5 years more pending.
Right.
No, I am only left with 5 years. Now, should I go in a seamless process, or should I once again be subject to all the same rigors which I was subjected to
Earlier.
earlier?
Yes. Wonderful. So on this note, let me thank my guest first, and as Mr. Bimal Jain rightly suggested, that a lot of confusion prevailing today, and what taxpayers are looking for, fusion of the ideas and the thoughts and the process, which basically means the seamless process where the taxpayers can have the taste of the real benefit and the real relief. They don't mind paying, they don't mind complying with the returns, etc. But the business processes, the ITC aspect probably needs a relook. GST Council also needs to perhaps create a kind of architecture where the date of notification, there is no mismatch, because the mismatch is turning out to be the biggest threat for the GST now today. The invoice mismatch, the credit mismatch, now the date mismatch. So, I mean, it's a bundle of mismatches which the GST Council will have to probably deal with. An intention in some of the cases like RCM, for instance, was good to capture the data, like central excise, for instance. Historically, central excise has been capturing data of production, manufacture, etc., and that used to be the raw data for all our statisticians and economists to project growth rate, etc. After the physical control gone, the self-assessment came, etc. Now the central excise itself is gone. Now it has become GST. So probably that thought has gone into this RCM 9.4. But looking at the procedure, the machinery, perhaps that is something which needs a fresh look. The government should, GST Council should take a fresh look. The GIC, the GST Implementation Council, that is a kind of informal body which has been created. It's a body of officials which can take good number of immediate decisions to provide relief to the taxpayers, like late fee, like returns, etc. These are all procedural issues. Perhaps the GIC should step in, little more frequently till the time the GST stabilizes and the taxpayers are little happy. So on this note, let's look forward to, we will certainly discuss more structural issues later in the other episodes, but today look forward to some good decisions from the GST Council and quicker decisions from the GIC, the GST Implementation Commission. So thanking you for watching TIL.